they had to leave their cars behind. Yeah, because they all got stuck.
They finally went and got them.
Yeah, they went and had to find them.
Because it got towed. I'm not.
I think so. And then they got like,
I'm retired.
Better than
$100.
This is going over.
I don't know if he got, I think he made a way out of that, but that sounded like a nightmare.
Gary, go ahead.
We're all set?
All set. Thank you.
Good morning. I trust everybody can hear me okay. Welcome to the Board of Directors meeting of the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency at BWB Building 201 West 3rd Street, Jamestown, New York, and Fredonia Technology Incubators, 14 Central Avenue, Dunkirk, New York, as well as electronically via live stream on YouTube and Zoom. It is November 22nd at 10:03 a.m. We'll start with a roll call. Gary Henry is here. Kevin Muldowney. Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Here.
Jay Churchill.
Here.
Rhonda Johnson.
Here.
Brad Walters. Stephen Thorpe. And Dan. We'll introduce you in a minute, but you're here as well this one. You should have already received the minutes from October 25th and had a chance to review those. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Steve?
By Steve, and do we have a second? Second by Rhonda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. You wanna
Yeah.
an introduction?
So before we get going on the new business, I wanted to introduce our new board member, Dan Heitzenreiter. He's replacing Hans Auer. Hans Auer, who was our treasurer, was appointed in November of 2012. So he was with us for 10 years and has retired from the IDA. So Dan is a great guy. I've known Dan for quite a number of years. He is the County of Chautauqua Chamber of Commerce CEO and president, and he's been that since July of 2021. He also worked for the county executive's office. He was the executive assistant from March of 2014 to July of 2021. I worked with him closely in that position for many years. He also was a council member for the town of Ellicott from January 2018 to December 2021. And he also interned for Congressman Tom Reed. He was a casework specialist from March of 2014 to December of 2015. He's also involved in the community, Jamestown Community College Board of Trustees from 2018 to the present. He's an active member of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. He went through the Chautauqua Leadership Network class of 2015. You know a little bit about that, right, Rich?
I do.
He's been on the Cornell Cooperative Extension Board of Directors. He's an ex officio representative on that. Also on the Jamestown Skeet Club, which we still have to do that, Dan. Have to go shoot skeets. But anyway, he's got a Bachelor of Arts degree. He majored in history and minored in political science from SUNY Fredonia. And he also has associates in science, liberal arts and science, adolescent education from JCC. He graduated in May of 2011. So that's quite a resume, Dan, and we're really happy to have you a part of our group here, our team, and we look forward to working with you moving forward here. I don't know if you want to say anything.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. As you mentioned, for a number of years prior to the chamber, worked at the county executive's office, and one of my duties there was to process the county board and commission appointments and things. So I recognize many of the faces and names at the table here and helped get those through the legislative process, but appreciate the opportunity to join the board. And I think it's critical from the Chamber of Commerce perspective to hopefully be able to bring maybe that mindset and representation for kind of the small business community. And obviously just being a champion for business countywide. So appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Thanks, Dave.
I've had the opportunity to work with Dan a few different times on different committees and different things. It's always been enjoyable. So I look forward to having you on the board as well. We'll go ahead and start with a new business. I think we're going to look at these two solar projects together. Is that what we decided?
So Christine, that good with you?
Yeah, that works for me. And then Millen, I'll just take your lead when we get to the point of the deviation hearing or hearings, how we conduct them. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Before you today, you have various resolutions for the Schofield Solar LLC and Centus Solar LLC tax lease and pilot projects. The Schofield Solar LLC project is a 5 megawatt AC solar farm on 25 acres in the town of Pomfret, located at 5208 West Main Road in Fredonia. This is on Route 20, almost to the Portland line. You received a full detailed presentation at the September 27th board meeting for this project. I'm going to jump to the Centus Solar description next. The Centus Solar LLC project is also a 5 megawatt AC solar farm. This will be located on 26 acres in the town of Stockton, located at 7030 South Stockton Casadega Road in Casadega. You also received a full detailed presentation regarding this project at the September 27th board meeting. I see we have Adam Rolls with us today, and I just wanted to mention to the members that Adam is with us. I noted that he provided a very comprehensive presentation previously. If there are questions of Adam as we review these resolutions, please let us know. Adam's just available to respond if there are any questions. Subsequent to the due diligence resolution and agreements passed at the September 27th board meeting, public hearing notices and deviation hearing notices were distributed as appropriately for both projects. We held public hearings on October 27th in the respective townships where these projects will be located for both projects. No comments were made at either public hearing, and no written comments have been received regarding either project for this application. Today on the agenda, we have a deviation hearing for each project, and we also have seeker resolutions and final resolutions for the board's consideration. I would ask Millen if you could please conduct the deviation hearings, and also if you could describe the resolutions being presented to the board.
Happy to. Starting with the deviation hearings, notice letters were sent, as Christine mentioned, to each of the affected tax jurisdictions on October 14th. We've not received any written comments from any of the affected tax jurisdictions. The two pilots differ slightly. The Schofield one starts at 3,750 per megawatt, and the Centus Solar starts at 3,500 megawatt. And that is due mostly because there are host community agreements with the respective towns that are slightly different. So those are the amounts of the pilot. They are for 25 years. They escalate at 2% per year. So at this point, is there any member or representative of any affected tax jurisdictions who would like to be heard as to the project or the proposed financial assistance?
No, and I don't think we have any representatives of the taxing jurisdictions in attendance. I just want to verify. I see someone has joined us with a number ending in 2218. I think that might be Crystal Elmeder.
It is.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think we have any members of taxing jurisdictions in attendance today.
Okay. That being said, I close the deviation hearing to a close. As Christine mentioned, there are 3 resolutions. The first is a deviation resolution approving the deviation from your UTEP under the terms I just described. On the seeker resolution, Each of the two towns undertook their own SECRA review, but they did not name the IDA. So the IDA had to do its own SECRA review. We reviewed all the materials that the town did and came to the same conclusion. Your SECRA resolution goes through each of those factors. Now, I purposely put in a typo in your SECRA resolution, and I was wondering who's going to pick it up, and I'm happy to say Christine did. So in section 1B of the resolution before you, it says that the IDA conducted a coordinated review, when in fact it should say, and the final resolution is going to say, the town has undertaken a coordinated review of the project in accordance with the requirements of SECRA, which did not include the agency, and as such, the agency is not bound by the town's determination pursuant to SECRA, but rather must issue its own determination. So with that change, we will also ask you to approve the SECRA finding and then the final resolution. The final resolution approves everything that's gone before, including review of the public hearing and the deviation, et cetera. We have not prepared final documents, but the final documents will be prepared and they will be very similar to the other solar deals that have come before you. So those are the three resolutions, and the only real difference is both are the same size, different towns, and the pilot is slightly different.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments on any of these resolutions?
I just have a comment, sort of question. The difference in the pilots, isn't it true, Rich or Christine, that with the Cinta Solar that's in Stockton, the difference is because they negotiated their own pilot?
They negotiated their own host agreement.
And their host agreement, yeah. And so we sort of had an arrangement where if we did it, it would be set at that $37.50 of the host agreement. And if they do it, then they whatever they want. So
Yeah, the towns try to get the same amount of money per solar project, and with the tax rate being drastically different in a town, some towns are under 5 cents, 2 cents a thousand. Some towns are 9 cents a thousand. So I mean, it varies in the amount that they get. So trying to play equal and fair with these amounts, the pilots will change a little, but at the end of the day, they're very similar in the amount of money that the town receives.
I guess one more comment, and this is due to the fact that the towns did their own SECRA. But again, the informal policy is to not approve any of these solar deals unless until the town is on board with them.
Right.
And by definition, here they are.
yep. Yeah, that's another big point. Again, the towns are on board. They wanted us to negotiate these pilots and do these incentives for the projects, just like all the other projects that we do. They asked us to enter into these agreements.
Thank you for making that point, Mark. Yes, I spoke with the town supervisors in both of these townships, and they indicated that these projects are approved. And they're requesting our assistance.
Right. So the approving resolution approves the pilot deviation, a sales tax benefit, and a mortgage recording tax benefit. The amounts are set forth in the resolution. And other than that, this is a well-worn path.
I just have a couple questions for Adam, Christine. Number one, Adam, you're not your due diligence, but you're all set with the National Grid. The engineering studies are complete. You're in the queue. You're all ready to go. And you know what the final cost will be to connect. That's my first question. And the second one is, do you plan to sell these after you complete all your work, or are you going to own and operate them?
Good question. And I apologize if it's a bit loud. This signer was quiet when I entered. But for the first question, so we have paid our 25% and 75% deposits for both projects. I think about 8 months ago now. So we've received our CCIDA studies. We're comfortable with the costs and have paid the cost estimates. Now the next step for these projects is to enter into a construction meeting to begin to facilitate the tangible interconnection process there. In regard to your second question, as is typical with Saturn's projects, we will be selling these projects to a party that will be the eventual owner and operator of these projects as well. We don't have a name for who would be buying these projects as of yet.
Okay. And when would you expect the to have that construction estimates done and have the sale completed of these projects?
I anticipate by the end of Q1 2023. This is sort of one of the final steps in this process to sort of de-risk the project, and then we'd be going through the sales process for both.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, for clarification, your interconnect studies are complete and the deposits have been made.
Sorry. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
That's all I had.
Sagan, Sheffield Smith, would you move new business A2?
Yeah.
Well, Sagan should read that, okay? She should read the resolution, please.
Okay. Are you wanting her to read everything under 2, all 3?
Yes. Yeah.
Resolution 11/22/2201, deviation approval resolution, Schofield Solar LLC, and resolution 11/22/2202, secret resolution, Schofield Solar LLC, and resolution 11/22/2203, final authorizing resolution, Schofield Solar LLC.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Jay Churchill.
Aye.
Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
All approved. Jay, would you move new business B2?
Okay, as it's written, without any changes.
Well, the secret resolution will be amended when it's certified.
Okay.
With that one change that I mentioned earlier.
All right, so I don't, the verbiage is how I'm going to read it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Resolution 11222204, deviation resolution, Skinta Solar LLC, and resolution 11222205, secret resolution, Skinta Solar LLC, and resolution 11222206, final authorizing resolution.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
Second.
Stephen Thorpe, second. Do a roll call vote. Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Gary Henry votes aye. Jay Churchill.
Aye.
Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Any nays? And that's approved. Thank you. And I just want to thank Christine for all her work on these. I know we all diligently read all the reports when they're emailed to us. I think this week's was 245 pages, so it is, as much as that is to read, I could, just imagine all the work that goes into it behind the scenes, getting all the information filled out and all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. So we certainly thank you for your work on those projects, but also more projects coming along in the meeting as well. So did you want to present new business AC?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Today we have with us Chris Lansky, who's the president of Excelco Newburgh, Inc. The loan committee is recommending approval of a $500,000 working capital loan request for Excelco Newburgh, Inc., located in the village of Silver Creek, town of Hanover. Funds would be used for acquisition of long lead materials for manufacturing operations. Currently, the company employs 40 employees and 4 new jobs are projected as a result of this project. This operation has a long history in Chautauqua County, having been in business since 1947. Chris Lansky, the president, has been with the company for 30 years. He has had an ownership interest for over 20 years and has been full owner for nearly 10 years. In a few minutes, Chris will describe the request and the importance of this financing for the company. As background, I would like to mention that the CCIDA has a long history working with this company, meeting with them regularly. As project manager, I worked with Chris and the company for almost 15 years. Previously, we assisted the company with a 10-year pilot and tax lease for a $1.5 million major building expansion project in 2009. This pilot is now closed out. Later, we assisted them with the acquisition of what is now their company headquarters office. In 2020, during the pandemic, CCIDA provided a $125,000 CARES Act EDA RLF working capital loan assistance to support ongoing employment and operations during the pandemic. I will note that the request at that time was for $250,000, but was reduced by 50% along with the majority of other requests across the board due to the large volume of requests we received at that time. Loan payments are on time and current for this loan. The loan committee participated in a very detailed presentation regarding this request last week, which was summarized in the meeting minutes provided in advance of today's board meeting that Gary just mentioned, along with the application and the proposed resolution. With that in mind, we've asked Chris to participate in today's meeting to provide just a high-level summary regarding this loan request. Chris, I'd now like to invite you to present your comments to the CCIDA board.
Okay, well, thank you for allowing me to come today. E&I is requesting a working capital loan from the IDA to increase our cash available for financing long materials, and in particular, to help manufacturing operations through the first half of next year. And once the materials are actually into production and ultimately delivered to our customers, the resulting revenue from them will be available to support work in process inventory and future material procurements to support our top line revenue growth. And I guess regarding the materials, while many are available from stock, almost every job that we have has some specialty materials required.
Can you hear Chris okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And there are several reasons for this type of material, the unique shapes or forged configurations that we have, or special, they're special because of their processing, testing, and certifications as well. And in many cases, there are multiple requirements prior to and after heat treatments, and multiple suppliers, inspectors, and testing laboratories involved. And currently, E&I has 12 PO lines open for long lead materials, with 4 suppliers on 6 major projects, having those material deliveries through February of 2023, and they total about $1.3 million. So, and as Christine said, we requested working capital funding in the past. A portion of that was granted, and we also went to the EIDL through the SBA for the CARES Act. But since we had some losses in 2019, we weren't eligible for that. So as a result, what we did is we worked really on contracts where only minimum material funding was required, and we have some extremely detailed and disciplined cash management practices that we put into effect. And although we've been able to win new contracts with greater material content, now what we're finding is materials are now a growth limiting factor for E&I. Strategically, there's a few things that we've done that are noteworthy I wanted to share with you. The first being that we developed a strong partner and a teaming agreement with this company called PCC Precision Custom Components in York, PA. And they really helped us enter into the naval reactors market and do more work for that industry. And PCC focuses on really heavy weldments, while E&I focuses on complex machined and welded structures, testing and assembly. So we team up together very well. We've been sharing engineering practices and engineering knowledge. And just recently, PCC was awarded a major contract where we are a subcontractor on that contract with a $1 million subcontract effort. So it's a pretty significant contract for us. Strategically, that was important. And I think another thing that I wanted to highlight is our customers now really believe in E&I's capabilities. They placed new orders, and our backlog now has grown with the addition of this order to nearly $10 million. And Bechtel, the prime contractor, has endorsed this PCC teaming agreement to the point where they've even hosted meetings with both of us, and we've worked together on future designs. And we also, Graham is a local company in Batavia. They rely on E&I also for Navy heat exchangers to the point where we're doing quite a bit of work for them. They've included us in their 10-year forecast So it's a real positive future for them. And I guess the last strategic thing that I wanted to highlight is that we've really demonstrated a discipline on focusing and selling our higher margin, their unique capabilities. And that's evidenced in, we have about $6.5 million of backlog for Bechtel and PCC for complex hardware, and $1 million with Graham and Xylem for specialized machining and welding and fabrication of Navy components. And on our shop floor today, as I was leaving, we have about $600,000 of Northrop Grumman work for some repeat titanium parts and some aluminum, large aluminum capsules that we're building for them. So they really appreciate our unique capabilities. And then just a couple of recent accomplishments. We're concerned about CMMC. For those of you that have heard, it's called the Cybersecurity Model Certification, a Maturity Model Certification. We've completed a $200,000 contract to evaluate and prepare E&I for the new Department of Defense requirements that require third-party auditing of contractor cybersecurity practices. So it's a real large IT initiative for security. And if you're don't have those requirements in place, you can no longer accept the contracts. It's pretty important to us. And on the machinery side, we rebuilt a large vertical boring mill. It's 12 feet in diameter and over 12 feet tall. It's like a vertical lathe. We put about $120,000 into it. We did all of the work ourselves, where we removed a large 20-foot long rail that was weighed 15,000 pounds and had two large rams on it. We laser inspected, machined it, renewed the bearing surfaces, hand scraped it, reassembled it all with new bearings and ball screws. So it's actually up and running and doing a great job. It's a unique piece of equipment. And regarding quality, we've had some excellent performance on our recent quality surveillance and recertification audits. We get two. We get audited by the Naval Reactors Program, which completed a 5-day, 6-person evaluation of all of our systems. Earlier in the year, we closed that out. And we used to have an ISO 9001 system, which we upgraded to AS 9100. And we just received our 2-year recertification from Perry Johnson on that. So we actually made it through that very well. And then the last accomplishment, I guess, is really relevant to the IDA is really focusing on workforce for revenue growth. We haven't been able to hire people, and we've been stifled in our shop. But with the new high margin welding opportunities, we're really developing a welding program. And then we're going to follow up with some additional machinist hires. And what we're hoping is it'll increase our revenue opportunities next year by $1 million over where we are year over year. So it's exciting for us. Internally, we've already filled a welding technician position. We moved somebody, and then we also hired a new welder. And we've hired a maintenance tech to backfill the internal move. And we're recruiting an additional welder now and a non-destructive testing inspector for welds. So if any of you know welders, send them our way. And to complement our increased welding capacity, we're targeting 2 additional machinists that we're going to hire. And we've already done a good job with our quality department, and we've recruited a quality manager now that's currently assigned as a quality engineer position. We have him on probation for 90 days. And on January 1st, he'll be assigned to quality manager. So I guess in conclusion, I'd like to say, E&I has really endured some challenging times in its 75-year history. And today we have a real clear path forward. The reorganization that we went through, it fundamentally changed everything that we do, the way that we think and how we operate. And now we're aligned for profitable operations, really meeting our customers. So with the $10 million in profitable backlog that we have within our region in 2023 to work on, the IDA can play a real vital role in opening the door to the future and closing the door on the past so that E&I can realize the opportunities that work really hard. So again, I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for your comments, Chris. If there are any questions for Chris, he can answer them now, and then I'll move into the details of the loan structure. Okay.
Very thorough job.
The loan terms and requirements recommended by the loan committee for the request you have before you include a $500,000 working capital loan at 4% annual percentage rate with interest for a 5-year term with principal and interest payments made monthly. Collateral would include a subordinate lien position on all business assets, including but not limited to furniture, fixtures, machinery, equipment, inventory, and accounts receivable. An unlimited personal guarantee provided by Christopher J. Lansky and life insurance in the amount of the loan on the life of Christopher J. Lansky. Significant cash equity injection was just contributed in July 2022, which was satisfactory to the loan committee. In addition, Rich Dixon also spoke with their commercial bank, and they are supportive of our assistance. Although this is a larger request for working capital than we typically receive, the loan committee supports the request in terms with recommendation for approval by the CCIDA Board of Directors as presented. Are there any questions for me, for Chris Lansky, or any comments from Mark, Rich, or Gary?
I'll just make one comment. Over the years, Christine and I have met with Chris on several occasions and have talked through some of his challenges, and clearly over the last 5 years, they have worked very, very hard with Chris at the helm, making these changes that he talked about, and sort of cleaning up the house and making sure that their accounting practices are in place, their certifications. Worked very, very hard, and it's really exciting to see that they're at this place now where they're ready to really jump on some of these opportunities that are out there. So congratulations, Chris, and I hope that the board supports this project.
Any other questions or comments? Rhonda, would you move new business C1?
Yes, resolution 11-22-2207, LTEC RLF loan authorizing resolution.
Do we have a second?
I would second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Jay Churchill.
Aye.
Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Any nays? So approved. Thank you. Certainly an exciting project with ENI, and glad that we can be a part of getting this going so that you have the funds necessary to get some of these long-term materials and all the jobs it's going to retain. It sounds like you're going to be able to hire some new people as well. So it's an exciting project for the county.
Yes, thank you.
Next, we would like to move a resolution to appoint a nominating committee for CCIDA officers for 2023. And with Brad Walters and Kevin Muldowney not being here, it seems like they ought to be nominated. So it kind of is going to really work out well. But Mark, I didn't know if you.
Yeah. Just real quick, and we've had a number of resignations over the past few months. And several of those people have had officers' positions. So now those officers' positions are vacant. We're going to even have one more, as we all know, Mike Metzger, as of January 1st, will be moving on. So we need, we were recommended to create a nomination committee that would then present a slate of officers at the December meeting to fill those vacant officers' positions. So at this point, we're asking for nomination of the nomination committee. And we've talked to both Brad and Kevin, and they are willing and able to take on that task. So that's what this resolution is about.
I would add to that this committee only makes recommendations to the full board.
Yep.
So the committee would think about who, should be what officers, et cetera, then make a recommendation. Presumably, they would make a recommendation they would meet in December, right before the next board meeting. At the next board meeting, you would appoint all those officers, probably effective January 1.
And in December, there's a housekeeping resolution that appoints the attorneys, the bankers, the signers for the checking account, all types of different things. And we would just include that nominating report in the housekeeping resolution. Yep, for all three, we have three for each, one for each entity, but.
Is this something we need to do a roll call vote on or?
So you would make the recommendation with those two people and you sort of did, but why don't you officially do that and then get a second?
Right.
Then roll call
Yeah,
vote.
let's do a full vote.
So I'll move new business D, resolution to appoint a nominating committee for the CCIDA officers for the year 2023 with Brad Walters and Kevin Muldowney. Do we have a second?
Second.
Steve seconds. We'll do a roll call vote. Harry Henry votes aye. Megan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Jay Churchill.
Aye.
Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
So moved.
I'm just glad you didn't have a bigger nominating committee because we would not have had a quorum.
Right.
We just disappear.
So that's just a warning to everybody. If you don't show up to the board, you're probably going to be on another committee. Next, we'll move into executive director, CEO update. Mark?
Yeah, and I'll be quick, but I'm gonna be jumping all over the place. I want to always just keep giving you updates about some of the things that we have going on and where we're at. So again, I'm going to be all over the place here, but a few weeks ago, we had plant visits with Jamestown Advanced Products. And they received an OCR grant from us. So we were there with the consultant, H. Sickerman, a group, and toured the plant. They're doing well. SKF, we had a visit with their team, a plant tour, Coalcraft as well, plant tour and lunch. And then Carol also had a meeting with Jamestown Container, who also got an OCR grant. So I just wanted to report that they were great meetings. They're all doing well. They're all looking at, continuing to grow and looking for people to hire, that kind of thing. So all good there. We attended the Retool conference, a number of us, and, bits and pieces of it. That conference was here in Jamestown the week of November 17th over the course of 2 days. And at this point, we're following up with all of the manufacturers that attended that conference that are from Chautauqua County, about 20 of them. So our project managers are dividing and conquering. They're going to be meeting with each of those manufacturers, which, by the way, we already have great relationships with all of them. We talk to them all the time anyway, but we want to see sort of, are they considering retooling? If so, what are they considering doing and how can we assist them in doing that? So that's sort of the takeaway from the conference. It was a lot of great speakers. It was awesome. Job fair for Wells. I talked about this at the last meeting and the last couple of meetings that, of course, we all know that approximately 300 people are going to be laid off from Wells. And we worked really hard with the Department of Labor and the Workforce Investment Board to help them understand what their benefits are, what they can expect in terms of health insurance, et cetera. Also to help them create resumes or tune up resumes if they already have it. And then there's a job fair that's on December 1st at 3:00 at JCC North. And there are 22 businesses that have been invited to that to talk to these displaced workers. So that's hopefully, they can get slotted into currently open positions. So I want to thank the project management team for developing a list of 8. The Department of Labor put the rest together and of people that we know that are looking for people. So that's a good outcome. The authority's budget office, of course, is still working with us. We think that they're getting close to wrapping up. But one of the things is we've been working with Harris Speech to address some of these policies. We have some outdated policies. We have some policies that we just don't have. So they are developing policies that we should be getting this year to address that. Things like the recapture and termination policy, real property acquisition policy, credit card policy, uniform evaluation and selection policy. Also working on updates to our website, where the ABO has kind of looked at our website and determined these are things that we could be doing better. And meanwhile, we're working with, and Jason has been involved in this, and Nate, myself, that we put out a request for proposals. If you recall, the IDA allocated $75,000. The partnership allocated $75,000 to do two things. One is redo our website and to address those shortcomings that the ABO has identified, and also a branding talent attraction initiative. So we put out a request for proposals 2 months ago or so, a little more maybe. We had about 20 proposals. We reviewed those. We scaled it down. We selected sort of 4 that we're interviewing. And we're interviewing them, I believe, on Monday. We're interviewing those 4 firms that have responded. So we hope to select one of them, or maybe it could be split. I mean, they can actually not do both, because it may come down to we have one that's good at one thing and one that's good at the other, or we may see that, there's a firm that can do both well. So hopefully we select that, we get them under contract, and we can start that process. So that's pretty exciting. We had our kickoff meeting with ECC. ECC is the firm that we selected for the broadband expansion to unserved and underserved communities. $2.5 million was allocated from the ARPA funds. And that was basically the IDA was allocated that funding to manage this process. So again, we did a request for proposals. We had several firms. We interviewed them. We selected ECC, who's done a lot of work around here, and they've been around for a long time. They're very bright. And we had our kickoff meeting with them last week. So that is currently underway. And whole idea there is how can we, number one, obviously address the unserved populations or underserved populations, but also how can we leverage that $2.5 million to tap into some of the state and federal monies that are out there. So how do we turn $2.5 million into $10 million and have a bigger impact? So there's a lot associated with grant writing and, developing RFP, but also determining where are those needs in the community. What else? Okay, update. We're in the 11th and a half hour of updating this recruitment brochure. And we hope to have that done next week.
It's updated. It's on the website.
Oh, it is on the website now. Okay, so I had a couple of final little changes, but it's on the website now. There were some, if you recall, we made 13,000 of these back when County Executive Borrello was really pushing for this. We got them out to all the companies, and there are some changes now. So we've updated that. We'll probably make 1,000 copies or something like that and get those out, but it's electronically available. We'll make sure we get that out to all the companies. It talks about, what type of companies are here, what there is to do, and a bunch of other stuff. So it's a good resource. The other thing is I just wanted to have this discussion, and Rich can jump in here too. We believe the solar projects are going to sort of dissipate as the grid gets full. And we think they're close to that now. National Grid had a meeting a month and a half ago. I wasn't able to attend, but they invited all the municipalities here and talked about sort of the sweet spot and how they're almost fully loaded. So I believe that those solar projects just are going to go away, or not go away, but there won't be new requests because it's getting
and that's for the time being until the lines are updated
Yeah.
and upgraded from Chautauqua County to, to the main lines. They're just getting full, which, it's not a bad thing. I'm a firm believer of the more electricity you generate in your own area, by whatever means it is, the better off you're going to be, because our electric doesn't make it to New York City. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. But so we are getting to the end, and it's interesting. National Grid has to, they have to follow their laws and their regulations, and they can't really say no to anybody. I mean, they have to put them in the queue and do all these engineering reports, but it's a process. So we probably, as Mark said, we won't take any new applications from any of the solar developers unless we know that there's a realistic chance that they're going to get an engineering study from National Grid that's going to be reasonable and economical. We don't want to waste their time and our staff time. So
Exactly. Then the last thing I have, unless anyone has any questions, is of course, the annual gathering is on Friday, December 9th at Shorewood Country Club. And there's also a block of rooms at the Clarion in Dunkirk. So I hope you can make it. It's going to be nice. We want to celebrate all of you, and let you know how grateful we are for not only the staff, but the volunteers, our consultants, et cetera. And we always have fun at that. So I hope you can make it. Are there any questions?
I had a question about the solar projects. Where can we get statistics on how many acres in Chautauqua County have been consumed with solar projects and how much electricity? Be good to kind of break it down to easy answers like that, because a lot of times I mean, as a board member, we get a question, say, is that all you do? Solar projects there? And I mean, it just seems like it's every month, as we said. So
our planning department under Mike's guidance has done a map, Jay, and we've actually plotted all of the solar projects that we've had applications for and what stage of development they're in. We can certainly share that.
I'd like to see that. Yeah.
See that and show you where they're at. I mean,
Rose or Jeanette, if you could do that, maybe share that map.
make sure it's updated to include like these ones would change colors now to be approved, and we'll get.
Yeah, it has overlays with like where the electrical lines run. It has soil types. It has slopes, I think. It has sort of the that you want to look at as you're determining whether
Easy to break it down to basics so that so we can actually understand it and explain it to questions.
Yeah, and just on that fact, the large one, of course, these are 5 megawatt projects we've been inundated with for the last 8 months, but the 270 megawatt project is just waiting for the state to give them their final approval. They've cleared all their hurdles. The judges have ruled in their favor. And that's in South Ripley.
Yeah.
And in the famous words of Jay Gould from the Agricultural Committee said, when the groundhogs go there, they bring their lunch. That's not very good soil, he said. That was Jay's wording on that land. But so that project will be moving ahead. We had hoped to close that by the end of this year, but it's not going to happen. We're going to close that next year. So. But they want to do construction there next year. So.
And the same thing is true for most of the smaller ones. We've got 20 or so backed up. So the map that you're going to see includes all of them that have been approved. Most have not closed yet, but we're hoping maybe first quarter.
And we've had some, Jay, that didn't come to us. That they went ahead and they built theirs.
Maybe included in our stats or
the ones I know of.
Yeah,
we do know of them, but
there's only a couple of those.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't skew things too much.
I think there's 3 or 4 that haven't come to us, and I don't know if they're coming to us. So I do know that the assessment on those, the ones they've done, is it's interesting, the assessors, how they work that model. So, but we'll get you everything we can.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you for that report. Certainly sounds like you've been busy, but you also have a lot to keep working on. So we appreciate all you do for the county, the whole team, and all the work you put in. I do want to say I have heard rumor that the chairs at the Shorewood Country Club are really nice. So if you're coming to the dinner, make sure you take note of the chairs and enjoy those.
I meant to say that. They are really comfortable. Sure, Mark. It creaks a little bit.
It's a tourist attraction in and of itself.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves chairs. Next, we'll move into a treasurer's report. Rich, if you want to.
Sure. So you have in front of you a sheet that we'll be reviewing today. We'll start with the balance sheet as of 10/31/2022. So for the months of October, November, and December, we will be looking at these together as the first 5 columns are the CCIDA, the last 2 columns are part of Critic. Next year, we will be reviewing those separately as Critic has now its own Paris, the Public Authorities Reporting Information System, which Kayla and I have set up and we're filling out, and it's a little more work, but I think at the end of the day, that will help our IDA report and kind of separate some things. So just a few things I'll highlight. Everyone is in a good cash position here. I want you to take note of under the bonds payable. The county was going to pay off that airport hangar bond. They talked about that in March. I don't know if that's going to happen or not this year, but it'll be substantially lower. The county actually, that money goes to the county and it's on our books and we reduce it at the end of the year. I want you to take note of that bond payable of $2 million. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. So that's all I have on the balance sheet. We move to the statement of revenue and expense. Again, the first 5 columns are the IDA. The last 2 belong to Critic, and separate those come next year. Everything's nothing to note there that's out of whack on this page, so we will just flip to the variance report. So we had a total revenue of 5.9 million. We had budgeted 4.7. Some of that is timing with grants and new grants. Nate and Mark have been very, very successful in getting some grants. Under the expenses, just some variances I wanted to talk about. The professional fees and the grant expense is due to the increase in the revenue. Nothing to be alarmed about there with the other expense. So all in all, I think we're looking at a very good year again for the IDA and for Critic. And again, the next year, this report will look a lot different. Kayla has taken the budget module that comes with our software by the horns, and I will no longer be doing my spreadsheet budget analysis. Kayla's going to automate it all for both the IDA and Critic. So that report will look a little different next year. So I commend Kayla for her and all the work she
started the legwork.
and Crystal Earhart, who we now have working with us on that too. She's done a lot of that. So all in all, Mr. Chairman, it's going to be another good year.
Okay, thank you. We need a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve the treasurer's report as it was provided.
I'll move.
Thank you, Jay. And do we have a second?
Second.
Rhonda? We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Jay Churchill.
Aye.
Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
And Hudson Raider.
Aye.
So approved. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the financial or credit history of a particular person or corporation and to discuss matters relating to the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease property. In particular, I'd like to discuss the status of our loan portfolio and the financial and credit status of some of our borrowers. Also, we will discuss certain possible property acquisitions and dispositions, and I believe that discussing them in open session would substantially affect their value. Do I hear such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Steve, do we have a second?
Second.
Ann? Okay, we'll move into executive session.
Just a moment, Gary.